Hello, mysterious person behind the screen, and welcome to my review of the second episode of Series 9 of Doctor Who, The Witch's Familiar. Oddly not sure why that's called The Witch's Familiar, or why The Magician's Apprentice is called The Magician's Apprentice, but moving on. Firstly, the titles are in sync! Finally! Yay! Seriously, for 4 episodes now they've been out of sync. So I honestly don't really know where to start with this episode. I mean, I enjoyed it better than part 1, honestly. I thought the biggest improvement to me was that Missy was so much better in this one. She still had the unfunny jokes, but they were less, and she acted more like the Master in this one. This one I can kind of believe she's the Master. It's more than I can say about about last week's. I also found it was a lot more exciting than part 1. Don't get me wrong, part 1 was good, but this is the meat of the action. You see this conflict with Davros, and you see the classic Daleks doing stuff. I mean, the special weapons Dalek actually had a line that was audible. I've forgotten what that line is, but awesome! Clara doesn't really add much to this story, does she? And I'm talking about part 1 as well. When I say story, I'm talking about both parts. When I say episode, I'm just talking about this, which is familiar. Clara doesn't add much to the whole story, does she? It's kind of pointless being there, actually. I kind of like the cameo of Tom Baker and William Hartnell. It's kind of obvious that in this story, Stephen Moffat did go full fan service on us. Not complaining there. Fan service is awesome. Can I just say, Davros. Oh, Julian Bleach, you are amazing as Davros. Oh my god. You could... I said this last week. The Nightmare Man has become one of my favourite characters in the Whoniverse because of Julian Bleach in the Sarah Jane Adventures. He's just amazing in this. You can actually hear the voice of the Nightmare Man coming through just when he sucked the regeneration energy from the Doctor. You can hear that coming through. But that scene where Davros opened his eyes and that was almost tear-jerking. That is a great scene. It's probably my favourite scene in the episode. Well done, Stephen Moffat, and well done, Julian Bleach, because it's so good. And well done, Peter Capaldi as well. He was good. I also quite like the scene where the Doctor sort of stole Davros' wheelchair and played dodgems in the Dalek control room. That was kind of funny. Although that does raise a point that I will bring on to later when I talk about negatives. I loved seeing Davros and the Daleks being truly evil here. Davros was just so tricking the Doctor like that. And you could see when the Doctor went like that, he was kind of... Davros, you couldn't really see. I only noticed on a second viewing that Davros' eye lights back up and he gives this little laugh, evil laugh, and then he just carries out his evil plot. That was so great. Davros was properly evil in this, and I love it. I love it to bits. I really, really did like this episode. I did like the little flashback scene. This is where the cameos of the classic Doctors appears, which I mentioned earlier. I liked seeing this little mini adventure when the Doctor on the run with some androids dodging them and then going like this. That was an awesome shot. And although I did think it got a bit silly towards the end with the vampire monkeys, Peter Capaldi was great in it, and I think it was clean, rad and cool. DVD box art. Okay, so as with Series 8, I had a lot of niggles with this one. It's better than the Series 8 though. But I have a lot of niggles. Firstly, just before that, let's address the elephant in the room, the ratings, the viewing figures. I'm not going to spend long on this, but the reason they were so low, the reason they were 3.7 million, was because it was stacked up against the rugby. I wasn't watching because I was at a friend's house, and her family was watching the rugby. It's not... Loads of people were. I know they were. Why stack Doctor Who up against the rugby? You know that it's going to lose. And that's why I'm shocked that they haven't done anything about it. I would be even okay if they just, moved the time slot to earlier, or even if they didn't show it on Saturday and left it till a Sunday, or even next week, even if it just wasn't on for a week. I'd be okay with that, honestly. But anyway, the Niggles. One, there were a lot of continuity errors in this story. And I don't mean continuity errors such as this is in this shot and then the next shot is gone. I'm talking about continuity errors that don't correspond with classic stories. The first one I noticed was when Clara got in that Dalek. Now, I don't know if you've seen the first Dalek story, The Daleks, but Ian gets in the Dalek and sort of goes undercover. He didn't have to get through any of that telepathic stuff, and his voice wasn't changed. He had to sort of put on a voice. So why is that there now? And Moffat's trying to explain why they say exterminate. Apparently it reloads the gun. Everyone just thought of that as a war cry. It comes back to that point of Moffat trying to explain everything within the show that was just best left alone. As well, isn't that chair Davros' life support machine? Isn't that established in Genesis of the Daleks? If Davros is out of that chair, even though he's hooked up to those wires, he would die. I don't care. That chair is also his life support. And can you really imagine the Doctor picking him up saying, right, you sit over there, and I'll get in your chair over here. You can't really imagine that, and that's the niggle I have with that scene. It's just, I couldn't stop thinking of that. Also, Mercy isn't in the Daleks' vocabulary. What? In the Series 5 finale, which Stephen Moffat also wrote, the Dalek begs for mercy from River Song. And that isn't in its vocabulary? What? You could argue that was a Paradigm Dalek, and Paradigm Daleks seem to have vanished from existence. But it's a Dalek. If that was grown from the Bronze Daleks, then they shouldn't have put the mercy in, because the mercy wasn't in their vocabulary, because Davros didn't give them the word mercy, because apparently it isn't their vocabulary, but it actually is, because Stephen Moffat established that in the Series 5 finale. My brain. Also, I felt that some scenes kind of dragged. That bit with Clara at the end when the Doctor thinks she's dead, although it was a really, really tense scene, it kind of went on a bit too long. Same with the scene earlier with the vampire monkeys. So yeah, The Witch's Familiar. Love Davros. Few niggles, but I really enjoyed it. And, you know, Magician's Apprentice, Witch's Familiar. Pretty good opener. The second part was definitely the stronger one, though. Join me next week for my review of Under the Lake. See you then, guys.